Hi, this is part 2 where I show you how to begin with a simple embroidery project. I thought I'd start off with one of the floral alphabet letters. You can find those on page 130 in the Janome instruction book. So in the previous video, I showed you how to install the embroidery arm and get set up. So this video assumes that you've already watched that or you already know it, and we're ready to get started with an embroidery project. This project I am going to be doing embroidering an initial on one of the bags that I'm going to make, and I am going to go into embroidery designs, and then you go into this area, and I don't know if you know that, but what shows up here, if you go ahead and go further, you can actually find out more. It took me forever to realize that there were more options available than just what showed up here until I realized that I could do that. So we're going into floral alphabet. I'm going to choose a B, and it says that I am supposed to use the 14A version of the hoop. Your machine may come with two different sizes. The 14A is the smaller. This hoop here is the larger. I've been practicing some machine quilting with this one, so we'll just push pause on that. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. It shows me the B. Now it is showing me that the colors are dark green, light green, and white. And I am actually going to use blue, yellow, and probably green. So I can either go through and change all those colors in the design, or I'll just know whenever it says this dark green, I'm going to use my blue. Another thing to notice is that it has told me to change the tension on my machine to a number 3. So the top of the machine, normally when you're sewing, when you're sewing, is a 3. I'm going to change, I'm sorry, it's a 5. I'm going to change that to a 3. I believe that's slightly less tension. I think the higher the numbers, the tighter tension. Yeah, so this is slightly looser tension. The other thing is it tells me that there are 4 colors. 3 of them are showing here. Yeah, these are the colors. I believe these numbers correlate to the Janome color numbers. I don't have that thread collection, so I just kind of wing it. It also says to use the P foot, which in the previous video I showed you how to put that one on. So I think the next thing is to go ahead and decide on what size. I would like to make this a little bit bigger, because it shows me, oops, it shows me that this size is 46 by 42 millimeters. I would like for it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go into, this is the edit mode. I am going to go into, I believe it's this one. Yeah. And then make it, the biggest it can go is 120. Then click OK. Okay, and it says I need to go ahead and hoop up the work. So hold on, I'm going to go over to the machine, and go over to the sewing table and get everything in the hoop. But before I do, just want to take notice of the new size is now 55 by 50 millimeters. So this is 55 wide by 50 high. And that's going to be important here in a sec. So here I'm at my cutting table. I have the fabric that I'm going to use for my bag. By the way, I'm in love with this, the Necessary Clutch Wallet. I'm going to be putting a monogram on this part, and I am excited to give that a try now that I've dipped my toe into machine embroidery. So it's opened up a whole new world of, gets me outside the limited Joann fabric inventory. So anyway, this is stabilizer. It is important. This is old, from my old Viking machine that I used to have that conked out on me. You can tell it's old because it's a little bit yellowed, kind of like my old teeth. Anyway, always use stabilizer, even if you have thicker fabric. Believe me, if you don't, then you're going to see the bobbin threads start to pull up and it'll pucker and it won't be nice and smooth and professional looking. So always use it. This is a tearaway. You can use fusible if you're working on something that's kind of stretchy. One thing that I like to use is this carpenter square. It is actually one that I bought at the Dollar Tree in the hardware section, and it has both inches and metric on it, which helps me because all of the sizes on your Janome will be in metric. So I've gone ahead and marked center with a white pencil, and I am going to make sure that I have centered that design on my fabric. So I went ahead and measured halfway this way. It was 55 wide and 50 tall. I used my little square and I just drew around it. Okay, those lines are important because I'm going to line up this with this mark. This is the left, this is the right, this arrow with this mark, and then these on the side will need to line up. And I'm gonna need 2 hands for that. So it took a little fiddling around, but I finally got it, I believe, to line up. Incidentally, it is a lot easier to get this well aligned if you really loosen up your hoop tension quite a bit, as much as possible, because it's a lot easier to shift it around, and then once you get it in there, then you can tighten it up. So carefully slide the hoop unit underneath the foot. If you lift up on the presser foot, it'll give you a little more clearance. Also, make sure that your needle is in the highest position so you don't end up breaking a needle on this as you slide it in. So on the back here is a little, hold on here. There's a hole here, and hold on, I'm gonna go around the other side. All right, so you make sure that that is in there, and then just give it a little twist to lock it in place. It should be easy to twist. If it's difficult, then you don't have it in there in that hole right. All right, so I'm ready to get the thread in there and get started with the embroidery. But I noticed I've got some slack here, and I think that needs to be a little bit tighter. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to tighten it up, and then we'll start all over again. Okay, it's time to choose some thread. I'm using, this is some old machine embroidery thread that I happen to have. It's sulky. Anything 40 weight is good. I am going to thread up my sheen just the way you normally would, and then we'll get started. Okay, I have my top thread threaded, and I have another bobbin like this, just using regular all-purpose black thread on the bottom. So what I want to show you right now is how you pull up the bobbin thread before you get started. So I've got my presser foot down. I am lined up at the center. I'm doing a manual stitch once. Oops, guess what? I missed this little hook thingy. Okay, hold on. So I made 1 or 2 manual stitches, and then I pull the top thread up, and you'll see it's hard to see because it is a little tiny black thread, but I find that these little tweezers really help me grab those. So I grabbed it out. I'm going to hang on to it. Start the machine. It's gonna take a couple of stitches. I'm gonna stop the machine. What happened here is I waited too long to pull that out and it got tangled up. So I'm kind of glad that happened. That way I can show you. It's no big deal. You just pull it out a little bit. Take my little scissors, clip this. That's the bobbin thread that got pulled up there. So stop, clip that off, and boom, ready, go. Here we go. Let's see the bee. All right, we're sewing away, and my stitches are counting away. It's working on the first color, which it says it's green, but I know we can change that to blue. It's counting down the stitches. This comes into play. The reason why this is important is, let's say, for instance, my bobbin ran out or my thread broke, and I want to start off in a precise position. I can use this plus and minus to start at the exact same stitch count. So that's why that's really important. That clipping is still going. All right. So the blue color is finished, or the green color on here. My machine automatically cut the thread. It ties it off, cuts the thread, and then it tells me to raise the presser foot. So I'm gonna raise the presser foot, and now I'm going to rethread to the second color, and that is going to be the color of these leaves here. So hang on, and I'm going to rethread. All right, I've switched to the green fabric that's going to do the leaves, and you may or may not decide that it's necessary to keep pulling up those threads, but I'm kind of a weirdo, so I like to take care of that so the back looks nice. You know what? Honestly, it doesn't matter on this because I'm lining this fabric, and if there's a bit of a bird's nest on the back, I guess it doesn't matter. I just don't want to deal with broken threads or whatever. But I was working on an apron, and I did want the back of it to look, you know, fairly nice, not like a big bird's nest. So in between, it's kind of a pain. You can decide whether or not you want to do it or not. All right. Okay, now I'm going to disengage this hoop. Take out my project. Being really careful here to not catch that. And here we go. This is an example of one I did for my niece Megan, and I added the fringe border, which is really kind of fun to do. There's a bunch of different ones with the fringe that I can't wait to get started with. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video.